Welcome to the 7 Point Play, the official podcast of the Sullivan Logistics WAFL, going through all the points you need to know from the league, the ATCO WAFLW, the EGT Colts and beyond. Big thank you to Amy for their support of this podcast as major partner of WA Football, supporting footy at all levels. In case you haven't heard, there's 3 state games in the one day. That's right, at Sullivan Logistics Oval on May 16, the WAFL takes on the Sandful in the men's and women's competition, and there's a WA under-18s versus under-20s showcase to kick off the day. Head to waffle.com.au to get your tickets now. All right, let's do this.
Right foot banana by Cartwright. He's won the game, has he?
Flies at the top! Semi-quick!
And the siren! They've done it, the Bulldogs! The red collar Bulldogs!
This is a 7 Point Play. My name's Nick Rynne, joined today by, I think, our first Peel person on the podcast, which is a great result, Scotty Tuia. Welcome to the pod, Scotty.
Thank you very much for having me.
And so what's the roguest pronunciation? Because we did have to check the name, the pronunciation. Yeah. What's the roguest one you've had?
I've had all sorts. Tuia, Toya. I get the lot. But, for the record, Tuia is the correct pronunciation.
And so you told me it's the number 2 and then Ia.
That's it. Yeah, simple. All the vowels. That's what trips everyone up.
It does. There's a lot. Like, to look at it straight up, there's a lot of vowels. Yeah. Very vowel heavy. So mainstay now in the Peel Thunder system. I was a Colts premiership captain, senior premiership player, and in the state squad for the fixture at Sullivan Logistics Stadium for the first time. So let's kick it off with the first point. Scott, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I grew up in Donnybrook and played all my junior footy down there until about year 9, and then year 10, being a small town, we sort of struggle for numbers a little bit in those older age groups. So we have a combined side, which is called the Preston Thunder, which is Boynup and Donnybrook combined. So I played my year 10 footy there, and then that's when all the development stuff sort of kicks off. So I played for the Southwest in the futures, and then obviously they don't have a team for Colts. So, the Southwest made up of Swans, Peel and East Perth guys, and so I started my Colts journey at Peel, travelling up back and forth from Donnybrook with a few mates, so plenty of hours in the car, but it's all worth it at the end of the day. And then like you said, lucky enough to play in a Colts premiership and then move up to the seniors, and that's where we are now.
So, good question. What was the distribution of the aux cord on the drive up? Like, what was it, just first in best dressed, or
what was it? I reckon just the driver, whoever's driving, unless someone had some putrid music. It was, but we're always talking all the time, so it didn't really matter who was on the aux.
That's fair enough, mate. Now, it's a unique situation at Peel. Obviously, there being a combined club, but also a club which services like quite a large region. How do you find it? You've been in there a long time now. You're obviously a stalwart there as a Thunder player. The sort of chopping and changing with the players coming back, and Freo relatively healthy the last couple of years, so I've had a lot of numbers. How do you guys work it? And what is actually, probably a good question is, what is the setup in terms of training with the Peel guys versus training with the Freo guys too? Yeah,
it's a good question. It's one that probably gets asked a lot of our Peel guys that, if they go on radio or something like that. And in terms of training, we don't see the Freo guys a whole heap. The last probably couple of weeks, Freo have had some games where they're at gather round, or they played Friday night last week. So the Freo guys that are going to be playing with us on the weekend have come down on the Thursday and trained with us, which has been really nice to get some connection because, like you said, it's a unique situation and there's always a lot of turnover every year, whether that's Freo draftees, obviously there's going to be guys going out as well. So, it is a bit of a balancing act. We do as much as we can off-field connection-wise. We have our crabbing day every year, which is down in Mandurah, and we go and scoop some crabs up.
Yeah, nice.
And the Freo guys get around that. So we do it as best we can, and on game day we're all one team. So and there's some great blokes that we work with as well. So it's really not too much of an issue.
But it's obviously paid off on a couple of occasions, and particularly for you. What was it like playing in a senior flag?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was my first year of playing league footy, so it was kind of the only experience I really had at that point in time obviously we're a couple of years removed from that now, but the likes of Will Brodie, Lam Reedy, and then you throw in your local guys that aren't playing for us anymore, like Blair Bell and Nathan Wilson, and you look around and it's a pretty star-studded team. So that experience was great, and some really good mentors for me to be able to lean on as I was starting my senior footy journey. So I look back on that with fond memories, and there's also a few Colts boys that I played with in that team as well. So that was nice to share that with them.
Yeah, and is there some of those mentors you mentioned, do you keep in touch with sort of any of them still? Like, who are the guys you go to?
There's probably not a heap, but Belly's always down at the club, the mayor and manager. So, he just loves staying in touch with the boys and seeing what's going on around the club. He'll train sometimes. He's got the license, you know.
He's the old boy. Like, he's gonna be that 40-year-old old boy comes down and does laps.
That's it. Yeah, just trucking around the outside of the oval. But Ben Hancock, our captain for last year and the 3 years prior to that as well, he's still at the club, and he's probably one that I lean on in terms of leadership. He's taken a step back from the leadership group this year, but he still has plenty of input because we need that. We're quite a young group, especially our Peel contingent, or even our Freo contingent as well. Like new draftees, you look at Swade, Murray, Juan, they're all pretty young guys. So leaning on Hang has been really helpful for me.
And selected in the state squad for the first time, that's a pretty cool honour.
Yeah, definitely. I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, but now it's just about trying to make that final team, and I feel like I've been building towards something like this, and it's always been a goal. But like I said, now it's about getting in that team and doing my best.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Big Watts. Are you happy with your number? What number do they give you for the training squad?
Oh my God, 11, number 11. So
that's good.
Yeah, if you're in the top 20 numbers, I'd say, especially for a small guy, you probably want to be in that. You don't want something too heavy like a 50, but there's no. I don't even think that's a number because there's not as many blokes. Go up that high.
Were you a smaller kid growing up? Were you a lot of 1s and 2s operator on the back?
No, I wasn't the smaller kid. I was, believe it or not, I rucked in year 7.
Really?
Yeah. So. But I always managed to squeeze into the number 3 because that was my old man's number, and he played plenty for Donnybrook, and just kind of stayed in the family. So no matter how big or small it was, I'd squeeze into the 3 somehow.
Just cut a bit of sweating before the game. It just gets you down to size.
Exactly, a bit of baby oil.
Well, let's talk about Peel as our next point. So you guys loaded up on the weekend against West Perth. 23 goals yourself. It was a big game. There were a lot of guys having big games on the weekend. At what point of the match did you feel like, we're humming here?
Yeah, it's kind of, I reckon in the first quarter we got off to a pretty good start. I think we finished the quarter on 5 or 6 goals, which we haven't had so far this year. It's kind of been really tight. Like our game against Claremont was a goal to a point at quarter time. So it was really nice to get some free-flowing play and get a game where we weren't stopping the hearts of our friends and family up in the stands. So, the message at half-time from Reedy was, it's cliche, but don't get complacent with the scoreboard. And, we played all right in the second half. Probably wasn't our best, but, it was the game was kind of done by then. Yeah,
well, Jeremy Sharp's been a talisman early. He's obviously gone up to Freo level now. You guys are 2-3 record. Yeah, you had a lot of tight games, some of which haven't gone your way. How do you feel about the season to this point? How do you feel about where Peel's sitting?
I think for all of us internally, we know we haven't played our best footy, and that's still to come, hopefully. But, like you said, it's been close. We've had 2 1-point losses in a row. We've had our round 1 win was like 2-goal margin or something, and then we lost to Claremont by about 2 goals as well. So until the weekend, we hadn't had a game that was outside of a couple of goals. But Sharpie was real good for us early. And obviously he's got his call up now, and that's off the back of the body of work he's put in and investing in our program and really bringing our trademark to life, which is what we always talk about. But the season so far, like I said, our best footy's ahead of us, and the weekend I think was a pretty good stepping stone to sort of building into some form.
Now, one of the moments of the weekend, of course, was Nathan O'Driscoll kicking his goal and everybody getting around him. Obviously, very sort of courageously came out during the week and talked about some of the battles he'd had with mental health, his own mental health over the last couple of years. It was just one of those organic moments. Felt quite special watching on. Did it feel? Or how did it feel out there?
Yeah, it felt great. It wasn't something that was like pre-planned or anything. We didn't say like, oh yeah, let's get around him if he kicks a go. Everyone kind of just knew. And yeah, we love Driz and what he brings to our program, and hopefully for him, he can push his case for another AFL gig in that Freo side. But yeah, like I said, we love him and we're going to support him all the way as long as whether he's at Peel or whether he's playing for Freo. It's an interesting space, and he was very brave to post what he did on Instagram, and we're right behind him. And anyone who's sort of going through any sort of mental health issues, it's bigger than the game at the end of the day, and there's certain things that take priority. So
now, before we get off Peel, there's a guy that I have to ask you about. He's a personal favourite of mine since I watched his first Colts game on streamer, and he was 9 times the size of anybody else out there, and I just fell in love. It was big Corey Tregenza. Can you tell us a little bit about Corey? He kicked 4 goals on the weekend. He's transferred to senior level really well. He would have been in the Colts side that won the flag too, wouldn't he?
He was.
He was, yeah. So can you tell us a bit about him and what he's like on the field? Like what you get from him, and then as a bloke as well?
Yeah, Corey's a ripper. Obviously, his old man's a legend down there,
Big
and
Rod.
in the footy community. But he's really making a name for himself, Corey, I think. And we love him, and when he's up and about taking marks and kicking goals, he's near on unstoppable, especially when he's getting some delivery from us. It's not always that easy to get it into him, but when we can get it in, he does a good job at competing, and he's part of our leadership group as well. So yeah, he's really good guy to have around the group. And when he gets up and about as well, he walks that strut as good as anyone, as key forwards do,
Yeah, well, that's what your key forwards need a bit of that about him.
That's it.
But I remember watching that Colts season, and it was like there was no defender who was his size at all. Was it just like, will they just get it up in the air near him and he'll take a clunk?
Literally, yeah. I think he kicked bags of 5 fun that year. And I mean, might have helped that he was an overager and he had probably a year on everyone else, as a lot of us did in that team. I think we had the maximum you could have 7 or 8 overages in that team.
Right.
So, pretty much kick it up to him and he'll do the rest.
Okay, now quickly let's move on to the AFLW preseason draft. So this happened yesterday. We're recording this on the Tuesday. It happened on the Monday. So essentially it was every club that had injury issues or a player who was going to be missing a season because they were pregnant, which is great, obviously, but they had a list spot to fill. So rather than it's been a bit of a haphazard thing the last couple of years, they just pull people in and out. The AFL decided, we'll just do it in a draft. So that's what happened yesterday. Noah McNaughton from East Freo, she's been their best player this season. She's definitely stepped up a gear. She did a lot of her development work at Souths and then moved over. So she was rewarded with a spot on Fremantle's list, which is fantastic. And it's good to see informed players get their chances, particularly coming through. They're a good youngster, and she was particularly a good young small forward. She's shown now there's another string to her bow, so she gets a reward for that. She knows how to kick goals and can lay a tackle. And then Sienna Girardi is headed to West Coast. So Swan's X-Factor player. She's dual sport athlete for a lot of the time, so she was basketball and footy. She's picked footy, decided to give that a red-hot crack. And so the Eagles have rewarded her by bringing her in. Couple unlucky to miss out. We talk about her most weeks in this podcast. Jamie Henry's had about a bazillion touches and kicks goals and does everything else. So she's got a bit of work. I think she's one of those ones, and you would have known plenty over the journey how the recruiters get a certain idea in their head, and it takes a lot of work to break that. Was there anyone like you played with in the Colts or something who you were like, they have to go, and then it just, I don't know, didn't work out?
Michael Selwood's probably one that's worked out now.
There you go.
Obviously. But yeah, you could tell in Colts he was a really good player. I think he was still playing PSA footy when we were in Colts, and he finished like top 5 in our BNF off 4 games or 5 games or something like that. So, probably for Jamie. I reckon she'll get a chance. I check the stats every week, and she's blowing it up.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and that's, she comes away. She goes away every off season, and they say you got to work on this, and so she does. Comes back a little bit better each time. But Moral Selwood's a great example of someone who was the same, and just sort of showed eventually, kept knocking on the door, and eventually it opened. And he's been unreal for the Dogs this year. Like, he's seamless. And he's definitely to do a lot back there for them as well. So
yeah, for sure.
He's really holding up. And then Juliet Kelly at Claremont as well. Just like soul of the earth, do any job you ask her. She can get the touches if you want. She can lock someone down. She's another one who surely her opportunity will come at some point. Quick break to say thank you to our sponsors, Construction Training Fund, supporting WA's construction workforce by providing funding for apprentices, tradies and employers. Search CTF for more details. Now, another point from the Sullivan Logistics WAFL I wanted to chat about was a bloke, and I'm sort of building a case here, which you can come along with this journey with me if you like. There's not a lot of rigour or stats behind it, but I think Lochy Paton must be like the Demons' talisman. So he was up and about when they were up and about last year. They've sort of staggered a little bit at the start of the season and are only getting going, and then he comes back in and kicks 3, and Perth go out and do a number on the Sharks. So Brandon Parfitt also came back, but he's a fair player, but he doesn't suit the narrative I'm trying to build here. So he's very good. So Parfitt and Constable had 69 touches between them, which is when those two are going. Is that? In terms of there's plenty at the moment, actually. I'm thinking about 1-2 punches in the midfield around the comp. England and Bailey are probably up there at the moment.
Yeah, there's plenty. You could probably argue the case for probably those two are the two pairs that you put up there, and they're probably the ones that are circled on a lot of whiteboards when you play that team. So, yeah, in terms of 1-2 punches, I think Constable and Parfitt are really good how they complement each other. Constable's that big inside bull who can win the ball, and so can Parfitt. He can get you on the outside too and in transition. So, they're always two that we have to keep an eye on. Yeah,
mate, absolutely. And Perth, it is still, I reckon it's going to take a period of adjustment for everyone to be like, okay, no, Perth are actually legitimately every year this is going to happen, because it's been sort of so long in the wilderness for them. But they're looking good again this year, and they've got people on every line. Lochy Paton comes in, he does the celebrations, he has the freakish goals. He only adds to that mix, and he's an example of there's some criticism sometimes of the Demons because they got a lot of concessions to go out and recruit people, but to bring someone like Paton in who's West Perth, and he just never really got going, but they identified him as someone who could really improve on their system, and he has, and it's paying dividends. So, the ladder, and we talked about all the 1-2 punches there and everything else, but the ladder, it's tight the whole way. So it's still so early, and every week, you can jump several spots or drop several spots because everybody's within about a win of each other. Yeah,
it is super tight. I think before the last round, we were sitting at 100% in 8th spot.
Yeah.
So and every team can win on any given day. So we talk about it all the time at Peel. If you're just that little bit off, you can get done pretty easily, and it doesn't take much to be. If you're 5% off, the other team's gonna. And if the other team brings their best, they're going to get a hold of you. And
the one team who hasn't started to get going yet is you came up against them on the weekend in the Falcons. There's enough there. I probably wasn't expecting a zip and 5 start from them. After last year, they had their struggles, and they seemed to find a bit of rhythm towards the back end of the season. But from what you saw on the weekend, there's enough pieces, right, that it's not going to take too much to get them going.
Definitely, yeah. You look at their midfield, and you look at their guys they got in the state team, Kane Bevan, Connor West, Joey Hinder, he's lightning quick. They're from memory, they've had a few close ones. They got within 4 or 5 goals of South Freo the other week. So, you're right. I don't think they're far off, and the ladder probably doesn't do justice to what their season sort of looked like so far.
And that's the good thing about the league this season. We knew it was going to be close. It's turned out really close. West Perth probably on the raw end of that a fair bit early. But even West Coast being a legitimate side this year, it's going to be a tight race for the final spots. I'll tell you that much.
Definitely.
Let's talk about the WAFLW. So on the weekend, over the pre-season, we saw a lot of players transfers from East Fremantle who had their issues to South Fremantle. One of those was Ash Gomes, sort of premiership player, premiership captain, long-time captain of East Fremantle. She was has been a contributor the first start of the season, and she just exploded on the weekend in an upset win over Subi, who was so good last year and have been so good again this year. So Gomes had 26 and 5 inside 50s for the Dogs, and it was, when you look through the list of their best, there were 3 players there who all came from East Fremantle. So Gomes, Madison Evans and Tash Entwistle were all serious performers for the Dogs on the weekend. And it takes a little while, you know better than most about people coming in and out of the side and having to settle into a system and figure things out. So it's obviously taken them a little while, but they I think that they're looking pretty good now. Like, they're looking like they know what they're doing, and Souths are ready to make a run. How often, is it the start of every season? Not to throw these questions, I know you get them asked every time, but like start of every season at Thunder, it just takes a bit of settling in? Yeah,
definitely. You might have some continuity with the Freo guys, and obviously we lose at some of our local guys as well.
Yeah, that's everyone.
And we bring guys in. We brought a few guys from country Victoria in over the last couple of years who have really added to our squad. In Lochy Tardrew this year, Toby Costas played a few games. Josh Matthews played a few games. It at the start of every year, it always is a bit of a task to try and figure out that mix. And teams are always going to have people in and people out every year. But for the South girls, obviously it's going to take a bit of time. But they're all great players that have moved over. Exhibit A, they're in the best this week.
Yeah.
By the looks, they're starting to get going.
Yeah, it's starting to really get going. So again, this is another both comps this year are really good in terms of competitiveness top to bottom. So we'll keep an eye on them running into finals. And now into the Colts. So it's a strange moment in the Colts at the moment. There's a lot of players in the under 18s have started. They're doing 6 trials instead of 4 this year. So they've started trials already. They've done 2. So the state squad members are away every weekend playing in the trials, but then also the PSA system PSA season started up. So there's a big chunks of players sort of out of the Colts program at the moment, which is, I'm not going to get into the pros and cons of all of that. But what it does do, one thing it does do is give clear air for if you're playing in the Colts. You've got, let's say you were 4th or 5th in the midfield rotation, you're 1 and 2 at the moment. So you've got to grab it with both hands and make the most of it. And there's a player doing that, particularly at Subi. I want to talk about Thatcher Simmons. So he played in the under-16s, then he missed a lot of the bottom age year with injury. And he, last couple of weeks at Subi, with that clear air and with those, that increase in opportunities in the midfield and everything else, has just gone bananas. So on the weekend, he had 4 goals from 24 touches against South, which is a good day out. Mate, it's just only slightly better than yours at the weekend, mate. Just got you by 4 touches and 1 goal. We're pretty close. And then 37 and a goal the week before. A player who is obviously good enough to be in the under 16 system, big-bodied midfielder, and really just sort of putting his hand up and saying, look, the 18 squad's got any opportunity spots as we go along. The trials, something opens up.
I'm still here.
I'm here. Yeah. Thatcher Simmons. Remember the name. So, just shout out to the kid because that's a big fortnight. And how a lot gets made of your draft year, and we've talked about Selwood before and Jamie Henry, and even the other players who were picked up. There's a lot of pressure in your draft year to perform, right? And you would have had the same. Is it hard to deal with?
It is, to an extent. I think when you're growing up and you start making these development squads and stuff, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to get drafted. Yeah, I'm going to be an AFL player. And the reality for most is that might not actually happen. So yeah, a lot of pressure gets put on your draft year, not necessarily from the outside, but probably, I can only really speak for myself, but internally. And so when it doesn't happen, when you don't make the 18s or whatever, you're right, there is a lot of clear air there for players to step up, and it also really tests the depth of your squad. For us in 22, we had a really deep squad because we had 8 or 9 blokes playing state 18s. But it was just a next man up mentality, and that's when we actually started to put some form together. So yeah, for guys like Thatcher Simmons, it's a really good opportunity to show what they're made of.
Yeah, and he's absolutely doing that at the moment. So let's see how he goes, but we're keeping a close eye on him over the next few weeks and for the rest of the season. Now let's round things off with two things to watch on the weekend. So there's two fixtures that stand out for me, so I couldn't split them. Demons and Tigers, and then Peel and East Perth. So those are four who are going to be right up there with South Fremantle as well, and the sort of the predictions about who's going to make the grand final. So it's a nice early marker to see where the teams are at, and if somebody can actually beat the Tigers at some point this season, be nice. And you obviously got your eye on the Royals fixture.
Yeah, great team. Obviously, they've played in 2 grand finals over the last couple of years and recruited pretty well over that period of time as well. So, doing the state stuff the last couple of weeks with a few of those guys and their coach, Ross McQueen, as well. We'll be looking to get a hold of them, hopefully, and carry the form from last week and probably the confidence that everyone has and really execute our system against them. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that one.
Who, I don't know if you're allowed to say, but who's like the danger man? Who are you thinking is the danger man in the middle? Like, who are you worried about?
I'm not giving any state secrets away because we haven't done our preview stuff yet. So this is purely my opinion. But Tom North got a hold of us once or twice last year. He's really dynamic through their midfield. Obviously, Scott Jones in the ruck he's a big
he's
man.
A large man, yeah.
Yeah, he wins the ruck battle most weeks. They're the two I can probably think of. Then obviously you've got Brayshaw and Amaduri and all those guys they've got a really sort of experienced team and they know what gets the job done. So it'll be a good challenge for us coming up against them, and hopefully we can get it done.
And the ruck battle will be interesting because it's you guys had some ins and outs of the rucks this year. Who was leading it? Aidan Riddle last week?
Last week, yep. We had Toby Cossa for 2 weeks before that. Him and Rids were kind of sharing the ruck duties after Mason Cox went out, obviously, into the Freo side. But, yeah, last week Rids did really well. His follow-up work was elite, I thought, and, yeah, his taps were good as well. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can build on that form and get going.
He's probably thanking his lucky stars there's no more wrestling at the ruck contest as well.
Very true.
All right, well, thanks very much, Scott. Thanks for coming in, mate, and good luck for the rest of the season. And hopefully we'll look at another Thunder flag later in the year for your sake.
Hopefully. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Another quick shout out before we go to our sponsors, Tumble Coffee from Tumble Coffee Roasters. You can order online at tumblecoffeeroasters.com.au. That's been the 7-point play for this week. Make sure to catch every game of the Sullivan Logistics WAFL live and free on 7 and 7, mate. The ATCO WAFLW and the EGT Colts can both be found on the WAFL's YouTube page. Just go to YouTube and search for WAFL. We'll see you next week. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.